Okay, so this Torah is very unique because it's one place where Rabbi Nachman explicitly says to be very careful to live with this teaching. There's no other place in LIKUTEY where he emphasizes to such a degree the importance of what he says in this Torah. Reish Pei Beis. So when we learn it, it's very easy to go through it, and it's nice. It talks about looking at the good in ourselves, the good in other people, and we can kind of breeze through it. It's almost like a sicha, it's a conversation. But if we look closely, we can find there's a lot going on. There's a lot of very deep advice over here. So when Rav Nachman says to be careful to live with this Torah, it also means obviously to learn it slowly and to go through each line like we're doing with the Torah Azmanit. It's an amazing thing. Whole Breslov worlds together, going deep into Rabbi Nachman's teachings. So Rav Nosson says it's a sicha in Koich Le'or. An amazing sicha. He says that he was not the greatest Talmud of Rabbi Nachman. Rabbi Nachman had incredible tzaddikim that were his Talmidim, they're much older than Rabbi Nachman. He had Shmuel Isaac and Rabbi Yidon, right? And they came to him. They came to Rabbi Nachman at the very beginning, and they were about 10 years older than him. These people, you look in Chaim around about the milas and miskarvim, the virtues of the people who come close to Rabbi Nachman, and you see that some of these Talmidim were on incredibly high spiritual levels. They were fasting day after day, and they were learning Torah and davening for 18 hours, without stopping. Crazy stories, and their fire for Avodas Hashem was unbelievable. And Rav Nosson says, now he's very humble, and that was one of the virtues of Rav Nosson, was very humble. But he says in an honest way that he wasn't on the same level as these Talmidim. But he said, nonetheless, he had the merit to be Rabbi Nachman's main continuation, his primary Talmud, primary student, because he lived with this Torah more than anybody else. He said they all had incredible virtues and they all served Hashem at very high levels. But Rabbi Nachman said, this is it. This is my path. This is the main thing that I'm giving over to the world. Everybody, if you really want to be close to me, this is it. Connect to what I say in this Torah. And Rav Nosson really took that to heart. And he said that was what brought him to where he was. And when you read LIKUTEY halachos, so you understand a little bit about Rav Nosson. He was an incredible tzaddik in his own right. He could have been a rebbe. He could have been one of the greatest rebbes of his generation, and maybe the greatest rebbe of his generation. Instead, he chose to be a Talmud of Rabbi Nachman. And he says that this was the way that he got to his greatness, was by following this instruction of Rabbi Nachman and really being careful to understand this Torah and to follow it, which is also why he started his whole sefer. Started out with LIKUTEY halachos, started out with a long exposition on this teaching. So what's the incredible advice that Rav Nachman is giving over here? The first thing is that we always have to start with Gashmias. This Torah, even though it doesn't talk about Gashmias so much, it completely changes your life, and it's a key to making a lot of parnasa. That's good, right? It's a key to making a lot of parnasa. And actually, if you don't mind bringing a chumash, sure. We're going to find in this week's parasha, this Torah is going to open up all the gates of Shefa. So it says at the beginning of Parashas Eikev, the famous Rashi. So the first pasuk says, "V'haya Eikev tishma'un es amishpatim ha'elu." So it says, because you want to listen to these laws, the guidance of the Torah, the halachas of the Torah. So and it says Ushmartim v'asisim v'isam, you're going to protect them and do them. So then V'shamar Hashem elokecha lecha as a bris, Hashem is going to protect His covenant with you, and His chesed asher nishba, and the kindness that He promised to your ancestors. And the verses continue about all the blessings that Hashem is going to give over. It's actually some of the main verses we say in Vayitein Lecha, Motzi Shabbos. He's going to make you real big, increase, you're going to have a nice big car, a nice big house, a nice big everything, like we like in America, big things. And it goes on and on about all the blessings Hashem's going to give us. So the very first verse, Eikev tishma'un. So Eikev literally means because, sorry, in this context it means because, but the literal translation is it means heals. So Rashi says, if the light mitzvahs that a person just walks over with his heels, tishmun, and you're going to listen to, and you're going to follow them, so then Hashem is going to fulfill all these promises that He made to the Jewish people and to our ancestors, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. He's going to make your life good, right? So there's a lot of ways of understanding this Rashi, but one of the ways is in the context of Reish Pei Beis. That what is the main teaching of Nachman says over here is that we have a lot of mitzvahs that seem to be colors in our eyes. We have mitzvahs that we do a mitzvah and we see, okay, so what's the big deal? First of all, my mitzvah was probably imperfect. Maybe I davened, and we just finished Mincha Mara, so okay, I davened Mincha Mara, but what was I thinking about the whole time? I was distracted, I was confused, and, etc., etc. And so, mitzvahs colors, we dash by kibbutz, we just walk right over our mitzvahs. We walk right over and say, it wasn't worth anything to Hashem. I didn't do anything special. So Nachman says in this Torah, Reish Pei Beis, you're making a huge mistake. Don't walk over these mitzvahs. Don't trample them with your feet. You have to understand that even every single good deed that a Jew does is incredibly precious to Hashem, and it creates incredible tikkunim. It has an effect in all the higher and lower worlds. And how do we know that? We see that from this verse in this week's parsha. If you listen to these mitzvahs, man, you give chashivas. You say these mitzvahs that I just walked over because it wasn't so good, or I'm not a tzaddik, so Hashem listens to my prayers. So if we have that approach to Judaism, so we're closing down all the channels of Shefa. And now we're closing it down. You want to open it up? You have to awaken ourselves from below to see that when we do something in this lowest world, physical world, we are creating incredible hashpa'is in the higher worlds. And even something that's imperfect, that's the main thing. Main thing Rabbi Nachman says over here. Don't look at the imperfections. Focus only on the good that you've done and other people do. We do that so we awaken Hashem's attention to that good. Everything, one of the main klalim, the main principles of this Torah, of all of Chassidus and Kabbalah in general, is that by a person waking himself from below, so we awaken the same effect in the higher worlds. So when we think positively about ourselves and we think positively about our mitzvahs, so we awaken a lot of positive things in the higher worlds. It's an amazing thing. We have an incredible power in our thoughts to decide what's going to happen above. And this has a spiritual effect, like we'll speak about in a minute, but also in the physical sense, that when we think positively about what we're doing, so then we awaken all this incredible, light and abundance to come down into our lives. So that's Eikev tishma. When you listen carefully and you appreciate these mitzvahs that people tend to walk over with their with their heels. What did I do? I didn't do anything important to Hashem. This is like the main reason nowadays. We're coming off of the 3 weeks and Tisha B'Av, so right away we have Shabbos Nachmu, and we have to comfort ourselves right away. What's the comfort? What changed? my life is the same as it was before. That in a general sense, the Beis Hamikdash still hasn't come, and Mashiach, we're still waiting for Mashiach. And on a personal level, still suffering. We made this special trip to come visit my parents, and my sister is supposed to come with her family, and they all got sick and they can't make it, and other family also not able to, So it's people get sick. There's problems, Some days the bank account's just slipping down, Some days we have no inspiration for Avodas Hashem. How do I get out of bed? I don't have. So what's the comfort? We're just all of a sudden, okay, so we can do haircuts now. Now we can listen to music. We can eat meat. Okay, that's really it? We can go to chasanas. We can get, it's nice, but that doesn't really take care of some of the pain that we're going through. So this Torah and this Rashi over here is our comfort. And where does it start? It starts with Emunas Tzadikim. Really everything in this sefer, everything in all these books on their shelf, it's all just Emunas Tzadikim. You can open all the books, if you don't believe in the person who wrote it, so it's not going to really change your life. They have, my father just told me that in South Korea they have the biggest collection, the biggest per capita Talmud is owned by the South Koreans. So they're studying Talmud all day. Is it changing their life? Not really. Why? Because they don't believe in the people who wrote it. It's an intellectual exercise, right? So every time we learn a sefer, we have to remember. Okay, do I have emunah in this tzaddik? Whatever the Tana is, the Azamra, the Chassid, the Rebbe, whatever it is, we have to believe this is meant for me, and this can help me. And especially when we come to Rabbi Nachman's farm, this can really, really change my life. So we have to have emunah now. So what Rabbi Nachman tells us over here, which is really b'chlolius, what the Zohar Kodesh says, what the Arizal says, what all the Svarim, the Tzadikim of Breslov and Chassidus, everything says is your mitzvahs are very important. Don't think it's tam. Don't live a lifestyle. Don't think, what did I do? It doesn't mean anything, So even sometimes we do a mitzvah, with a certain perfection, a certain level, and a certain level, we still we throw it out. So Rabbi Nachman says over here, you make a huge mistake, and even if it's the other way, and 90% of what you did was thinking about other stuff, and you have different intentions, or maybe we made a mistake in the mitzvah itself, we didn't even get it really. So Rabbi Nachman says, forget about all that. Why? Because that little bit of light of the good that you did, even the good intention you had of doing a mitzvah, way overpowers the darkness. The question is, you guys, do we believe this or not? Do we believe it or not? That's the bottom line. We have to really believe that what Rabbi Nachman says this over here. If we do, it can completely change our lives. Because every little tiny good thing we do, we're like jumping up and down. It's an amazing thing. I put on tefillin today. I said Kriya Shema. I said a bracha. I did chesed with my family. I helped the kids, get them out to cheder, get them into school. Went to the grocery store to buy. Every step of the way, every little thing, thing we're doing in our lives is somehow, there's some good in there almost all the time, but we're just focusing on the bad. And that's the nature of the Yetzer Hara, and that is the galus. In a nutshell, the galus and the comfort in a nutshell is this idea: having a emunah in the tzaddikim, and especially Rabbi Nachman, who bring out the beauty of who we are, the beauty of our mitzvahs. Having emunah in that changes your life, and that's an incredible comfort. I could be that there's always bad things going on, but you know what? A little bit of good far outweighs that. Rabbi Nachman even says in the first Torah in LIKUTEY, he says, really, it's a Gemara. It says that even if a person only has one defending angel, and he has 999 prosecuting angels, still that one defending angel can win over all the prosecuting angels. It's like defense lawyer, We've seen it happen in the American court system, where a person is very, very guilty. Oh, just Hempstead? Didn't say it. He's very, very guilty, and somehow, he gets the best lawyer, and he gets off free, right? So Rabbi Nachman is that lawyer. That's why we go to him for Rosh Hashanah, by the way. Rosh Hashanah is the day of judgment. We're all getting this. So if you have a good lawyer, so get you out. So, but we have to hire him. We have to believe in him. We have to go to him. So it's that defense lawyer, that one malach. Now the chiddush is that's already a chiddush, but the bigger chiddush is that even the Gemara says over there that even if that one malach that's good is 999% bad. So we're talking about 1 out of 1,000,000. If my math is correct, because it's 1 out of 1,000 out of 1,000. Yeah. That 1 out of 1,000,000 can win the deal. Can overcome it. So Rav Nosson goes deep into this teaching of the sages in the Gemara, based on the Sfera, and but it all is dependent on us, right? Because if we say, it's worth nothing, so Hashem can't. We gave our own verdict. Yeah. If you go into court and say, I'm guilty, what's your lawyer gonna do? To plead your case, you can't. There's nothing you can say at that point. But if you go and you say, no. I did something good for Hashem, and my lawyer, this malach, this tzaddik, he's gonna be able to overturn everything. You'll be amazed, change your life, and that's a big comfort for us. If we really go deep into this and we just have a munah in it, so then all the problems in our life can fall away. It's not so bad, you know. It's really not so bad. So that's the spiritual benefits, the physical benefits of this amazing teaching of Nachman. So we'll go in and learn the first few lines over here. So the Rebbe says like this: that you should know, ki tzarech ladun es kol ha'adam l'kav zchus. So this is a statement from Pirkei Avos that you have to judge everybody favorably. V'afilu mishu rasha gomer, even a person who is completely wicked. That's an extreme, kind of an extreme statement. So we'll talk about that. So you have to search and find in him a little bit of good. In that little bit, he's not a rasha. He's not a wicked person. And through this, that you find a little bit of good in that person, and you judge him favorably, you actually lift him up to the side of merit. Right? These weights are merits and our mistakes. So when you look at a person in a certain way, you actually change the scales. And you can inspire him to return to Hashem. Okay, so again, like we said in the beginning, if we go quickly through this, it's like a nice day. Yeah, okay, we're supposed to be positive and look at the people positively, and it's going to help us in life, you know. But if we say that, we're missing the point over here. Yeah, that's the general idea, but that's not the teaching that's really going to go into our kishkas and change our lives. So let's go through this slowly. So first of all, really Rebbe Nachman is saying two different things over here. First, he's bringing from Pirkei Avos. Kitzar ladun es kol adam mekav zchus. You have to judge everybody favorably. That's one thing. Another thing, v'afilu mishu rasha gomer, tzarech lechapes v'nitzoi boy ezemra toiv. That's another thing. Right? When you think about it, it's two separate things. First, you have to judge everybody favorably. And then he says somebody who's even really a wicked person, you have to find some good in them. Okay? What's the difference? The difference is, first of all, have it done as kol mekav zchus. Some people think when it comes to kudas tovos, comes to the teaching of looking at the good, so then everything's fine, everything's okay, you can do whatever you want, you know, everything's fine, you know. So Rav Nachman says, tzarech ladun es kol adam mekav zchus. You have to, there's a certain judgment, but it's a kav zchus. Meaning that not everything is okay. The person's doing something against the Torah, it's not okay, right? But you have to judge them with kav zchus. So there's a two-step process over here. One is, I have to recognize, okay, this is person's person's not keeping the Torah, so this is not the right thing to do. But immediately I say, but you know what? Like all this, I'm talking about this Mishnah, Dam Kapsulos. Find some merit. Maybe he didn't intend to do it. Maybe he doesn't know. There's all these different ways that we find the merit in somebody, even though they're doing something that's incorrect. So that's one thing that we're more familiar with. Now there's another thing. The Afilim Yishu Rasha Gomer. Sorry, the Chapes would employ by Ezemeyat Toy. And that little bit is not a wicked person at all. This is a different thing. This is the avodah of focusing only on the good. Right? First we had Dan, the kaf schus. Now we have just focusing on the good. Because very often a person could see, yes, a person you judge him favorably. It's not gonna, that by itself is not gonna awaken you to really see the incredible virtues of that person. You see, he made a mistake, but okay, I judge him favorably. Okay, so that's a good starting point, yeah? But it's not really gonna get in and awaken the light that's within that person's soul. So Nachman says another thing, that we have to search and find good in that person, in that place where there's no bad at all. There's nothing bad, because every person has within them. They have in the Shabbat. Rav Nosson says that what is a mitzvah? A mitzvah is elokus, is the godliness. And every time that we do a mitzvah, so the godliness that's within us connects to that godliness of that act that we did, and it illuminates all the higher worlds. It's an amazing thing. This is the whole purpose of creation. So when we focus in only on that act and that good, so then, and we push everything else to the side, yeah, temporarily. Now it's a temporary thing. It's, at least as far as ourselves is concerned. Regarding other people, we never focus on their bad. We never focus on their mistakes. Regarding ourselves, there is a time for us to do introspection and to look. He's better to us. Rav Nachman says it's the time for us to look and see where we can improve and to try to, dive into Hashem, do a confession, and dive into Hashem to be able to overcome what we're struggling with. But he says that's 1 hour a day maximum, for a certain tzaddikim more. And the rest, 23 hours a day, is what we're talking about over here. We're only focusing on the good. In other words, most of the world, you're walking around, everybody's depressed. It's still, Tisha B'Av is the whole year round. We should nichlas it's the whole year. We're going down in Simcha the whole year. What's going on over here, It says only Nish nichlas, and really, it's a different Torah, not for right now, because we're past the 9 days, but it's, we're only reducing in the simcha physical way, like the eating meat and drinking wine and these types of things. And spiritual simcha is always there. That's the teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. But in any case, so we have to get out of this depression. What's wrong? What's wrong is that we're confused. We don't realize that we're supposed to forget about our mistakes, completely block them out for 23 hours a day, and then for 1 hour a day, go into that place, and work through it with Hashem. We're doing the opposite. We're doing like 23 hours a day, maybe 23 hours, 55 minutes, max. Hopefully we have 5 minutes a day of real simcha. The Breslov minion, the LIKUTEY after davening. So making a big mistake. Focus only on the good, both in another person, both in ourselves, as we're going to see. You guys, most of you have probably seen this story at least once before. Yeah? A little bit?
He says not to look at not to go on the gospel subjects. I think I heard it explained that to look for a good point, but
yeah.
Don't say that somebody did something bad, that's good.
Not the mice of the person.
Right, for sure. Right. So that's the first step of Danos, the Junis Kodam Kaskus, and there we're going in where there's no bad at all. We're going into a place where it's completely good.
Right, so that's what I always wondered. So there's a difference between being down the Kaskus and finding a good table?
Yeah, there's two different avodas, right? You think about it, take a second, that's what we're explaining right now. Down the Kaskus is that a person's not perfect, he's making mistakes, but you judge him favorably for what he's doing. Yeah, in the mistake itself. So okay, you know what? He had good intentions, and it's kind of seeing the bigger picture, which is, like I said, there's a place for that, but the focus of this Torah is the next step. It's kind of like, the first step gets us into the second step. The second step is where you're focusing, zoom in, right? One time I gave a shiur on this tour, and I had a photographer in my shiur. He knows exactly what we're talking about. You take a camera. Nowadays, you can zoom in like crazy, even closer than the human eye, on something. You can see the details. It's unbelievable. So that's the avodah we're talking about over here. Zoom in, mamash, on that spot. That's all you see. There's nothing else there. Nothing else. And when you do that, so then the light from that good deed, from that mitzvah, which again, Reb Nachman says it's not specifically just a mitzvah. He said it's even me'at toiv, a little bit of good that he did. So the light from that little bit of good that the Jew did in that moment in time is very powerful. The reason we don't see it is because we're looking at everything all together. But when you zoom in on that little bit of good, so you see it's shining very brightly. It's a huge thing. And again, we need the help of the tzaddikim. Really, the end of this Torah, we won't get to it today, obviously, but the end of this Torah is really the key that unlocks the beginning. And I'm sure you guys in this group that you're learning LIKUTEY, you know one of the principles of learning LIKUTEY is that you always have to go to the end to understand the key that unlocks the beginning. Very, very important. This is one of the main principles of the 18 principles of Rabbi Nachman. This is one of the main ones. This and looking into the Maimon Komis and looking into the sources. And so at the end of the story, Nachman explains very clearly that this avodah of Nikudas Torah and focus on the good is all dependent on the tzaddik. It's all dependent on the great tzaddikim. Why? Because if I look at a mitzvah, like, okay, so I said a bracha, I ate some kugel. Okay, so what happened? I don't know. I said a bracha. I didn't see anything happen. The kugel didn't like transform into some like magical, spiritual entity. So there's nothing special. How can I be happy about what I just did? How is that going to give me chiyas? How is that going to inspire me? But when I open let's say a book of Kavanos Rizal, and he tells me, it says over there, like when you say this bracha on the Boi Priyadama, so then there's Eikev and there's all these things that are happening, and wow, that's pretty amazing. So even if I don't understand all the details, I can be pretty happy about my mitzvah. And now all the more so when I go and I look in the Torah of the Chassidus, the Baal Shem Tov, and the Reb Nachman, and they explain something that I really can understand. Look through LIKUTEY on the deeper meaning of the bracha of an Adama versus the bracha of an Eitz versus the bracha Shahako. Explains these things like on a very simple level. And we even have English coming out soon. The Chaim Kramer's, they have the first volume. So you don't even have to know Hebrew. It's right there. You can learn it and you can understand it. You can live with it, and it'll change your life. So it all really depends on the end of this. The end of this Torah. The focus is the tzaddik that draws out these nekudas Torah from us because he reveals how precious they are to Hashem, and the incredible effects they have. And so when we follow their path, so then this little bit of light, we focus in and we zoom in on it. It's very powerful, and it changes the way we see other people. And again, like we're gonna the second paragraph here talks about how it changes our own perspective on ourselves and our own relationship to Torah and mitzvahs. So the Rebbe continues, so you find that little bit of good, you judge him favorably. So you see over there very clearly, it's two separate things. Yeah? So that, to me, that's an incredible thing. What the Rebbe said right there is a very incredible thing. How is it possible that here's a person, let's say, like Ram Nosson says, the example he gives, that he's done 999 sins, and he's done one mitzvah. And you go and you look at him in a certain way, where you focus on that one good deed that he did, and you just changed his whole reality, his whole existence just changes. Now somehow he's on the side of merit. He's 99 to 1, maybe it was 1,000,000 to 1 we said before. And you focused in, you zoomed in on that one, and you really appreciated it, and you saw how precious, and you just flipped the scales. Come on. Rabbi Nachman, what's going on over here? Right? If you go quickly through this, you miss the whole thing. So what is he telling us? So there's different ways of explaining this. People say it doesn't mean literally. You know, Nachman said it. Let's try to understand it in a little way. So what Rav Nachman's teaching us over here, something I touched on briefly in the beginning, is the power of Machshava. Yeah, everybody knows that we do an act in this world, so it has effect. I pour some water in a cup, so it has an effect, and the water went from the bottle to the cup. You build a house. You built a house. You tear down a house. You tore down a house. So we all know that our actions in this world have an effect. We can see it before our eyes. Similarly, we all know that our speech has a very profound effect. You say something and change a person's life. You could lift a person up. You could destroy them. Everything. The way we operate in the world is through our speech. You have to do business. You're talking to this person, talking to that person. You're making shalom bayis with your wife. Whatever it is you're doing is through the power of speech. We even understand that scientifically that speech, creates sound waves. So there's a real tangible existence in this world of speech, and we can see its effects. But thoughts, so that's something that we don't give any importance to, because first of all, our thoughts seem to just fly through our head like one after another, and it doesn't seem like they have any concrete existence. They don't do anything. So this is the main teaching of the Baal Shem Tov is where you think, there you are. So you guys, here we are in Monsey, Heilige City, Monsey, New York. You could be anywhere in the world. Where you think that's where you are. You think you're in Yerushalayim. You think you're in the base of Mikdash when you're davening Shmona Esrei. You're there. You think that when you're going to do His butters, you think Hashem is right here, listening to me. Here I am sitting. Hashem is sitting right here. I'm talking to Him like this. It's happening. Yeah. Where you think, that's where you are, and this is the power of our thoughts. This is one of the main teachings of the tzaddikim, of Kabbalah, Chassidus. To wake up your mind. Realize that your thoughts can change the whole world, change yourself. And you change the whole world. You think positively about a person, it has an incredibly powerful effect on them. And why is this? Because we have another principle, that aladi isur sudasata, isur elu. Anything we do in this world awakens a parallel effect in the higher worlds. So we think positively about a certain thing, so that creates that effect in Shemayim also. So Rav Nachman says in a Sicha, in Sicha Saran, Sicha Chof, I think, Chof Aleph, about Rosh Hashanah. He says, very, very important to think positive thoughts on Rosh Hashanah. This is the word of Rosh Hashanah. Think positive about yourself. Think positive about other people. Because Rosh Hashanah is Yom Din. And we get to choose what the din is going to be. Right? Judge everybody favorably. Think positively about them, and most importantly, think positively about yourself, because that's going to change everything. You're going to have a great year. Everything's going to go very smoothly. It's Hashem. Just see yourself in a positive light, and that awakens the same thing in the higher worlds. And then that's why Rav Nachman says, "Come to me for Rosh Hashanah." Got to go to him for Rosh Hashanah. It's not an option. It's a chiyuv. Because this avodah is so hard. We all can relate to this. It's so difficult to control our thoughts, and especially to think positive about ourselves. All of our bad thoughts about temptations and cravings and all these things, it all stems from the negative thoughts that we have about ourselves. It all comes from depression. Reb Nachman says this, the Zohar Kodesh says this, brings it down very clearly. It all starts that we think negative about ourselves, we think, I'm not worth anything, the mitzvah's not worth anything. And then once we're in that place, so then we lose control of our thoughts. Reb Nachman says, with simcha, and through Nikudas Tevas, this Torah, he says we can control our mind. We come to Yeshiva Das. We clarity of mind, and we can start thinking positively, and thinking in a good way. So, and through that, when we see things clearly, then obviously we want to stay away from aveiros and doing things like it's shtus. Like Nachman says, brings from the Gemara. A person doesn't sin unless he loses his mind for a second. What's that? Losing his mind? He gets depressed. He starts falling, So this is the beginning, and the beginning is the beginning of all beginnings. Is Rosh Hashanah, the head of the year. So we have to start out the year thinking very, very positive. When we start, this process starts really right now. Right now, we turn the point of Tisha B'Av, turn the point of Tu B'Av, everything, all the din of the 3 weeks and the days of where Hashem was angry at the Jewish people for the sin of the golden calf. We've passed over that point now with the power of Moshe Rabbeinu. We're heading towards the days of Ratzon, which builds up to Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur. Now's the time we start working on our thoughts and preparing ourselves. Doing this Isus or the Sata, awakening ourselves from below to think more positively about ourselves and other people, and building up and up and up. And then we get to Rosh Hashanah, we go to the Rebbe, and we get a huge tikkun. Where? Up here. Huge tikkun. Everything comes from our mind. All the actions and all the speech. But the source of everything is the thoughts. So we fix what's going on up here. This is the control tower, right? We fix what's going up here, so then automatically we're gonna have the good products. We'll see the fruits of our labor. But it's not an easy thing. It's so difficult. It's a mechama. It's a war. Rav Nachman says that the teva, the nature of a person, is to be depressed, to be sad and broken because of all the things he's going through. There's not a single day where we get off clean, especially a Jew. Everybody in the world. And non-Jews also, especially a Jew. It's not a single day in your life where it's just like, wow, everything just went perfectly today. Could you ever imagine that happening? Maybe on Shabbos. On Shabbos we have Me'er Lamhava, we taste of it sometimes. We have a great Shabbos or Yom Tov. But day where everything, the kids, none of the kids are crying and screaming, money's coming into the bank account. You're feeling good, healthy, you feel inspired to daven, to learn Torah, and so we always have these challenges, and every single day there's a different challenge. And because of this, today's challenges can't do today. Can't do it. It's too hard. Rav Nachman told him to be happy, mitzvah gedol, lias b'simcha tamid. Not today. Tomorrow, when the bank gets so then for sure I'll be happy. But today, So but Rav Nachman's not telling us that you can't take a day off from simcha. And so we need help. We need the help of tzaddikim. We need the help of the tzaddikim by learning the Torah and going to their grave sites, and seeing them in person. The living tzaddikim we have in our generation, Baruch Hashem. So there's an abundance of living tzaddikim in our generation. So this is how we can turn the scales, right? There's obviously a reference to the scales of Rosh Hashanah over here. Rav Nachman's hinting to us that we can change our destiny. We can turn everything to the positive side by just thinking more positively, working on this. And Rabbi Nachman continues, and then you can bring a person to do tshuva. So again, what? That brings a person to tshuva. How's it? I thought about Avi over here, something good about Avi, and all of a sudden he's doing tshuva. So again, connected to what we're saying, it's the power of makshava. But still, there's another teaching that Rabbi Nachman is giving over here. You can help a person to do tshuva, and you can help yourself to do tshuva. So this is really getting into the mamash, the kishkas, the depth of this advice that Nachman is giving us, is that, in a nutshell, what's the main reason why we're struggling and we can't pick ourselves up and return to Hashem and fix what we're going through? The main reason is that we're having a problem with our identity. We identify ourselves as a person who makes this mistake, makes that mistake. A person who has certain desires that he can't overcome. A person who has certain limitations in his ability to daven and to learn. That's how we have this ingrained identity. That's very, very deep in our psyche, and that's what's holding us back. Is this mistaken identity? We don't really know who we are. So Rav Nosson really goes into this in the first Torah, LIKUTEY, and he goes deep into this idea of seeing ourselves, for who we really are, and seeing the true identity of a Jew, and understanding the power of our neshama, understanding, the power of our mitzvahs. When we look at ourselves, and it's very hard sometimes to say, yes, I make the same mistake every single day, but that's not me. I do the same thing, but you want to tell me that, like, yeah, there's some, that's what I do. And on the other flip side, once in a while, I pick myself up and put some effort into davening with kavanah. Maybe a Yom Tov, a Shabbos, a Rosh Hashanah, by the Rebbe, a little inspiration. But the rest of the time, I'm just like blah 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 blah. And you want to tell me that my neshama is like, is burning to daven with kavanah and this fire for avodas Hashem? Yes. And that's the identity. We have to change our identity. We have to, the passport picture has to change a little bit. Whatever the details it says over there, we have to, we have to follow the path of Rabbi Nachman over here. And I start identifying with our good points. Start identifying with the good things we've done, and realizing that even if that's a fraction of our lives, a fraction of our daily, experience and the things that we do, that is who we really are. That's me. Everything else is something else. The Rizal says, just to really understand this idea, it's an incredible thing. The Rizal says, he said that it's based on a Gemara that says that all the neshamas, the Jewish people, come from the goof of Arba Rishon. The Gemara in Yevamos, I think. They come from the goof of Arba Rishon, and it says Asheticha neshama shebeguf, until all the neshamas are born into this world. So that's when Mashiach will come. That's why it's a very mitzvah to have children. But the challenge is that because of the Chet Arba Rishon, everything got mixed up. What happened when Adam Rishon sinned and he ate from the tree was that it got mixed together, the toiv and the ra, right? The chet, the tzadas, toiv, ra. The good and the evil got mixed together. When everything we're doing in this world, every mitzvah, every bracha, every good positive thought is a process of selecting and being mevarer the good from the bad. Okay? So now, part of this birur, part of this selection, is that when we're born into this world, we're born with a very, very, very holy neshama, extremely, extremely holy. It's higher than all the angels, and it's a chelik elokei mal, all the expressions that the Chazal tell us. Israel, all of Moshe Tchili, is we're from the source of Hashem's thought to create the whole world was the souls of the Jewish people. But because of the Chet of a Rishon, everything got mixed together. The lashon of the reason is that our neshama is impregnated with the neshama of a rasha, the soul of a rasha, a wicked person, impregnated. So we're born into this world. We have this incredible spiritual power on the one hand, and then on the other hand is like this other alien inside of us. It's literally like an alien, and that's living there, and and he's telling us to do other things. So in layman's terms, this alien is called the Yetzer Hara, okay? But it's important to understand the way the Rizal explains the Yetzer Hara as this alien, this foreign soul that's impregnated into us when we're born into the world, because it really brings out a stark contrast. This Yetzer Hara has nothing to do with who we are. It's something else entirely. It's just something that got thrown in there because of the mix, and we have to. And the birur is to follow the Yetzer Toy, which is the neshama, and to do good, and to ignore the Yetzer Hara, this alien that's telling us that we're bad people and that we never do anything good, and all these negative thoughts that come into our head, they're from the alien. Don't forget, they're not from us. It's from this alien. So once we start making this clear identity, which is this avodah of Likutey's Torah, focusing on the good, and just zooming in on that alone and appreciating it and realizing and identifying with it, so then we start changing. Why? Because if I'm a good person, because I do good things for Hashem, so I will start doing more good things for Hashem. You understand? When I think that I'm a bad person, that's when I do bad things. When I think that I'm a good person, that's when I start doing good things. It's all a matter of identity. Which is it? Yeah. So when we start identifying ourselves, this is who I am, and I can continue following in this path. So then, automatically, I leave behind the darkness. It falls away. That's what this is the focus. There's two different paths in doing tshuva, as we know. There's the path of Chassidus, the path of the yeshivish, the Musar. The path of Chassidus is asay toiv v'su mira, do good and remove the bad. The path of Moshe is to remove the bad and then do good. So we're seeing in our generations, they're both true. They're both true paths in the Vodas Hashem. But we're seeing that in our generation, that the path that works the best is Asay Toiv ve'Sumira. To do good, focus on the good, and build up your good points, and try to strengthen yourself in those areas, and then Sumira, which again goes back to what we were speaking about before. 23 hours a day of chizuk, of Likutey Torah, seeing the good, focusing only on that, zooming in. 1 hour a day of introspection, and also retrospection, looking over the past day, the past, whatever period of our lives, and seeing how we can improve. That avodah becomes very easy. Once we have this basis of focusing on the good, so then we're able to push away the bad. It just kind of falls off very easily when we do it. But it's not a hard thing. Confessing before Hashem, all these things, seems like a very serious thing. It's so heavy. Why? Because we're depressed all the time. And when I go do a confession in front of Hashem, and I try to go into these places, so then that's just gonna push me further away. So Nachman says, so don't do that if you're not happy the rest of the day. If you don't have simcha, so don't go to that place. But go to the place of simcha, build up your happiness, and then you can really finish the job. The rest of that during that period of his brothers. So this is the path of tshuva. This is how we're entering into El. This is how we're going to change. Again, this is El, classic example of people going to El with all these nerves about I have to be perfect, I have to do everything right, and I can't. Hashem is judging me not favorably, which is we see is not the right thing. And so then we start going in that direction. So it's not going to last, and for some people can hold out, until Yom Kippur, but doing tshuva is not holding out. Doing tshuva is getting close to Hashem. It's returning to Hashem. So we're not trying to hold out during Elul, yeah. I'm talking to Breslov, so this is already so maybe it's a moot point. I don't know. Everybody's got their past, but. But the idea is, tshuva is, this is Elul. Yeah, be happy. You want to do tshuva? Be happy. Focus on your good, and straighten yourself, and then take a little time every day and polish the diamond. Yeah, there's a few sparks of mud, there's a few, a little bit of darkness over there. So scrub it off. So this Torah, is the basis of all Rabbi Nachman's teachings. All the great brass of Mashpim and Tzadikim, and all the history, they say that this is the lens that we have to see everything else. Because you can open the Sefer and there's a lot of Muslims, very intense things. What Nachman says, you can go to Sichas, Sich and Ein Vav about learning Torah. Nachman says very intense things about learning Torah, how much we're supposed to learn every day. A person could see something like that and be like, this is not for me, I can't do it, it's too hard. But when we have the right focus, and we have the right glasses that we're looking at the Rebbe's teachings, so then we see very clearly that we know how to go through, we know how to understand everything else. And so this is the path. Now, one more thing on the Parsha, that Eikev Tishmon, going back to this teaching of the Rizal, that all the neshamas of the Jewish people come from the goof of Adam Rishon. So he says over there a very amazing thing, which I think will give us a lot of chizuk, that he says this phrase that we have, Ukfa the Mashiach, the heels of Mashiach, explains that at the end of the day, so again, there's the different neshamas come from different places in this goof. There's certain neshamas that come from the right arm, some from the left arm. There's ches, there's gevura. Certain neshamas come from the rosh, from the head. There's tzadikim, the rosh b'nei Yisrael. Then there's certain all the other limbs, the organs, everything, etc., etc., etc. And he says that at the end of the day, ukfin Mashiach, the heels of Mashiach, means that the neshamas are going to come into this world during that period of time. Are going to come from the bottom of the heels of that body of Adam Rishon. So I think that explains everything. Right? That's the Eikev, the mitzvahs kalos of the dash be'akav. We're getting smashed and trampled every day of our lives. This alien inside of us is creating a lot of problems, and the world around us is creating a lot of problems. This is, and so what do we do? How do we keep ourselves afloat? And on the contrary, how do we get closer to Hashem? How do we keep going? And so Rav Nachman is giving us the key over here, that you have to understand that since you're the Eikev, you are the heel, you're the bottom, you're the every little thing you do is Kodesh Gadashim. It's very, very high. It's very, very special. It's very, very precious. Rabbi Nosson says in the first halacha, he says that he brings from Midrash that says, in Midrash Shir Hashem, it says, Shchar ani v'nava, that I'm beautiful, Shchar ani, I'm black, I'm dark, very darkness, I have a lot of darkness, but I'm also very beautiful. Shchar ani v'nava. And the Midrash says, Shchar ani, with the, I'm dark with the act of the Chet Egel, but I'm beautiful with the act of the Mishkan. I'm Shchar ani with this, with this sin, and I'm beautiful with this mitzvah. It goes back and forth. So Nosson says an amazing thing. He says that the beauty comes from the darkness. The fact that we're so dark is what brings out the beauty of every little thing that we do. Right? What do we do? The Erev Pesach, we do B'dikas Chametz. It's the darkness. Maybe if you can't do it during the daytime. Why not? Because it's too light. This light, the sun and light. You don't see the light of the candle. This light of the sun is shining too brightly. You don't see the light of the candle. It's not able to illuminate the cracks and crevices. So you do it at nighttime when it's really dark, and then the light of the candle shines very brightly, and illuminates all the lowest, darkest places. So that's what we're doing. We're in the lowest, darkest places. We need that candle of our neshama to shine very brightly. When does it shine brightly? In the darkness. When we're the heels and we're struggling and we're falling to the lowest places. That's what gives the biggest importance and brightness and brilliance to our mitzvahs. Is we're in that situation. So this is the key for us to do our job as the heels. Hashem's not expecting us to be like the great tzaddikim that served Hashem with Ava and Yira. They had the Chesed and the Gevura and the Tiferes, which is this incredible awe of Hashem. This incredible awe, this Tiferes. Hashem's not expecting us more than we can. We're the heels. He's expecting us just to be a heel. What does a heel do? Is that even getting smashed and trampled all the time, it keeps going. This keeps going. Keeps going, and it keeps picking itself up. Keeps picking itself up. Okay, it gets smashed again. It picks itself up. Okay, it keeps getting smashed again. Keep picking itself up. Keep seeing the LIKUTEY. Keep living with the Rebbe's Torah. You're doing what you need to do. You're doing big things for Hashem, big things for Nachman. And we're fixing the world with Hashem. Hashem should bless us to live with this Torah, to take it to heart again. Everything we're saying over here, you really have to see these parentheses over here. That Rav Nosson brings down from what Rav Nachman spoke, along the path of giving over this Torah. He said the importance of living with this Torah, and this whole idea of l'tayah b'tarasa, to walk with the Rebbe's Torah really starts over here. Obviously there's sichos that talk about it, but over here is the biggest emphasis of okay, we have to take this to heart, you guys. We can't just let it be a nice thought, a nice idea. Okay, so this guy came in and said a nice pshat in Meish Kei Beis that I didn't know before, but no, that's not what we're doing over here. Tomorrow we're going to wake up, or tonight we're going to go home, we're going to say Kriya Shema Lamita, we're going to be like, Hashem, I did something very special for Hashem. I was very tired, I didn't have any kavanah. Why? Because I'm an Eikev, I'm the heel, and that's okay. But Hashem is very proud of me, and I can be very happy when I wake up tomorrow morning. So Hashem should bless us to see ourselves favorably, to see other people favorably, to focus only on the good, and to do tshuva shleima, come close to Hashem and bring Mashiach to the kingdom of Amen.
Amen. Amen. Beautiful.